So, hello and welcome to another of our weekly happiness question and answer shows where, well, it happens every Thursday, 7 to 8 p.m. UK time. And so, what's this show about? It's about talking about happiness. And you might say, why do we need to talk about happiness? Because I think in the West, we have happiness upside down. We think the stuff that makes us happy actually makes us sad, and vice versa. The stuff that actually really makes us happy is the other way around. I'm not sure what I just said there, but you get it, upside down. Um, and the other thing is that the ideas we're giving here are, well, definitely the ideas I'm giving are spiritual ideas that tried and tested have revolutionized people's lives and made them happier. It's not just made up stuff. And also, when people hear spiritual, they think it's illogical. You just have to believe it. I'm going to try to squeeze in a bit of science and psychological studies and stuff to, support that. It's a question answer. I really would like you to talk. I get feedback all the time. One of the bits of feedback, I'm running out of time already, is that people are shy to talk. It's a difficult topic. People don't think about the meaning of life. So I understand that. Thanks for watching. Take part if you can. What else? Yeah, it's what we talk about is our personal and global problems. Everything in our lives affects our happiness. Let me introduce my friend Len, who's such a regular and a star on the show. Thank you, Len.
Hi, good
Len,
evening.
hey, thank you. Len is, oh my God, it's gone out of my head. Eggs something, what?
Existentialist. I follow
Existentialist,
existentialism, yeah.
as well as a whole bunch of other things, right? Because I had to shorten down his intro to one word or something. Me, Islam. That's my intro. Okay. Format, very important. Two halves. First half, we're basically going to do three questions in the description. We're going to answer the questions, and then we're going to answer the questions again. In between, you can give your comments, and we'll try to weave your comments into our answers. Find out more at bigquestionsanswer.com. Oof. That intro always runs out quick. But anyway, I had it a minute this time. Still runs out. Okay. Here we go. Do we... No. It goes wrong every single time. I'm going to fix that right now. I'm going to tell you the real question. I don't know how I didn't change the question. Okay, the real question is... I don't know how I make mistakes. How do I feel good about going to work? So... Len, could you have a go at answering this? Sorry, could you go
Yes,
first?
I will
So then
start
I'm
you
going
on
to
a few things.
change.
Yes, by all means.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Right. We have a problem in the Western world where we work in jobs that tend to soul destroy us. Those are soul destroying jobs, especially if we find ourselves in jobs that we never intended to do. You're not following your heart's passion and your heart's call, and you end up in a job that's not meant for you, and people feel unhappy about their job, about their work. And this is becoming a problem for people, leading to anxiety, leading to depression, people unhappy in the job situations. They don't get on with the people they work with. There's no job satisfaction. So there's a lot of problems that come about as a result of the fact that people are not following their passion. The solution to this would be to decide for yourself, who are you? What is your passion? What do you like doing? And a combination of the answers to these questions. What do you enjoy doing? What are you good at? What do you like doing? The combination of these answers will guide you into the direction of the job you're supposed to follow. And unfortunately, we live in an educational society where the work you do at your years at school don't necessarily guide you in that direction either. GCSEs don't necessarily lead to a vocation. And we find out people leave school and they've studied subjects that are not really relevant to what it is they like doing and what they enjoy doing. And you end up with people enjoying to play games because it gives them an escape from the reality they are currently living in, playing on their gadgets. So we will probably need to break down everything that we know about the education and recreate, restart, reformulate education to be something that will help people to discover their passion, discover what it is they are good at, discover what it is they enjoy doing, and then developing, nurturing them in that direction. That is what I think the problem is, and the answer and the solution is. Now, do you really feel good about going to work? Is to follow your bliss, follow your heart's desire. Find something that you are good at. Find something that you enjoy doing, and you enjoy it because you have a passion for it, something that you love, something that you can share with others, and something that will benefit yourself and others in the process, not just yourself, but if it's beneficial for a community, for a group of people that you work with and engage with in that environment, that's the way to go. And this is the point where I'm going to say that's pretty much all I can say about it. So if there's anything you want to throw in, go for it by all means.
Cool. Yeah, I'll start my thing. So let me. I was going to remove this deceptive thing, but then I thought you don't have the timer, so you need the timer. So the real thing, guys, today, I don't know. I prepare so much. Trust me, I prepare so much, and I don't know how many things still go wrong every single time. What's going on? Anyway, so how do I feel good about going to work? I actually, first of all, I just want to say I get these questions from people I talk to, and actually just going to work. I know how many people hate going to work. This is such a small minority who actually like going to work. That's kind of my intro. And actually, what I want to also throw in before I get started is that if you do have things you want to talk about, put it in the comments. I know it's really hard to talk about your personal stuff, and that's really important to you. But if you can, I'll put it on the list of things to talk about. Okay, so anyway, I want to start, as I say, this is not my opinion, but my understanding of Islam. So the teaching I want to start off with is Allah, that is God, the one God. It's a very common name between different religions, actually. Allah loves that if one of you does something, he does it well. Okay, so do it like with a passion. Do it as well as you can. Some people get this thing about passion, like, oh, it's not my passion. To be of service comes naturally to people. It makes, when I say it comes naturally, there we go. I need to explain that as well. It makes you happy to be of service to people. So when you try to look at your work as not this annoying thing you have to do to get money, but to help people, the time will fly by a lot faster, because it'll be more in line with your true nature, that kind of behavior. And so when you're of service, when you're trying to do your job really well, suddenly work becomes a lot easier. You look more forward to actually doing the work. I want to give a few examples. I'm going to whiz through a couple of things, actually, because that's just one of the tips I want to give. But I want to give examples of my work experiences. I've done all sorts of jobs, from just working on a checkout to working the program and all. Every single time I found something to make the world a better place. So how can you make the world a better place being on a checkout? I used to make conversation with people. Like, nobody else on the checkout would say, hello, how are you doing? That's a really weird thing. And people loved it. And my checkout was the slowest. And people actually joined it just for the conversation, because people are really like missing that in society. So that's that. Let me throw in a couple of other things. Science, okay, psychology. There's a great TED talk by some guy called Adam Grant. He's got two amazing TED talks, but one is, are you a giver or a taker? Givers really make the company better. And givers do really well in companies if they do it with balance. So like, if they're only giving all their time to giving and helping everybody else and not doing their own job, they actually do badly. But they become top of the company and succeed if givers are basically people of service, people who do their job really well. On the flip side, coming back to people who don't do their job with service and are playing politics, they hate their lives. I literally talk to people who tell me that they cannot be happy. So if you want to be happy, this is all about happiness. Be of service. Time will fly by faster. Even if it's a really boring job. I've done really boring jobs. What else do I want to throw in? I'm trying to throw in lots of different ideas, and then you can comment on them. And if you want me to particularly focus on the second half, when we go through these questions again, I'll try to pick up on them. So I'm just giving a whole bunch of ideas about what I want to say. There's another thing in different religions, in Islam particularly, you say every day we have to, like, I don't know how many times, 30 times in a day, we have to say this thing: all thanks should be given to God who sustains us on this world. Okay, or actually the real words is on every planet, because Islam is a very futuristic religion. But the point is that your job would not exist if there wasn't vegetation and things, or the world didn't supply goods for us to trade. So you be really grateful that you have a job, and you feel grateful, you get lucky, and you see the benefits of the different things that you get to do in your job. And if you want to be successful, people who are okay, that's it, time's run out. Cool, great. So how do I feel good about going to work? Was that one? Oh, I need to change it. Let's get the next question up. Mike, not Mike. Oh my God, I'm saying the wrong name. Len, there was another guy called Mike on my mind at the moment. Len, you go for it. I will change it. The question is, it's not all automatic. Anyway, to love is to recognize yourself in another. Eckhart Tolle. What do you think, Len?
Yes, I do tend to agree with that. That is something that I've come across more and more with my studies of esoteric spirituality, which is that we are all in some way or another connected to each other. And if you have a problem with someone that you work with, or someone you encounter in a queue at a shopping market, in traffic, if you have a problem with someone else, it's because you recognize a quality in someone that you dislike about yourself. We are all mirrors for each other in that way. And I am still getting my head around that, but it's becoming more and more evident that because we are all subconsciously connected to each other, we can recognize good qualities about ourselves that we enjoy, that we love, but we can also recognize our own flaws, our own dislikes. The things we don't like about others are actually mirrors of things we don't like about ourselves. So in that way, with Eckhart, I have to agree, where you recognize something that you love about someone else is because those are qualities within yourself that you love. So it is important to exercise this thing called self-love. Now, I know from the Christian perspective, I was told and I was taught back in the day that we should never love ourselves, because to love yourself is evil, it's not of God. But one has to understand that one of the laws that Jesus gave, or one of the teachings of Jesus, is to love thy neighbor as thyself. So in order to love thy neighbor, you have to love the self. It begins at home. Ever heard the expression, charity begins at home? If you cannot love yourself, if you cannot respect yourself, you cannot even try to go out there and love someone else. You can't even respect someone else. It begins with self-respect and self-love. That is, I think, is a very crucial part of understanding the self. And I do find that in society that we live in this day and age, there's this lack of self-knowledge. People don't know who they are, what they are. People don't know what they want. I do remember asking our teenage son the other day, last year at some point, what do you want? And
what do you want to do with your life?
What is it you're passionate about? And he said to me, I really don't know. I haven't got the foggiest idea. So it takes reflection to sit down and decide and choose. What is it you like? What do you enjoy? What do you want with your life? If you can be anything, imagine you have a screen, a slate that is clean, there's nothing on it, and this will determine what you will do for the rest of your life. What could that be? And if you can decide what that is on this day, you are steps ahead of the multitude of the masses of people living on this planet, because most people don't know what it is they want or what they want to do with themselves. So I think to that point, it is very crucial that one has to have the self-love and the self-respect and the reflective ability to decide who we are, and what we want to do. And if we can do that with ourselves, we can recognize those qualities within one another. And that's how society is built on good and solid foundations. And that's pretty much the thoughts I want to share with you for that.
Cool. Thank you, Len. Yeah, so I'll just get started. So Len got me thinking about some of the things. He said something. So, before I quote, I'm going to start with my quote. Let me start with a quote. Do not, this is from Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, do not neglect any chance of behaving benevolently towards each other. So there isn't a sense of, in this quote, a sense of finding something you recognize in yourself. It's completely selfless love. Okay. Len said something interesting, saying like he helped me understand the quote in a different way than I first thought. And that was like, oh, you are, I don't know, good at football. I love you because you're also good at football. I mean, I don't want to quote you wrongly, but you mentioned something about finding something similar, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that could really limit the love we have for each other. I would say that, and the reason why Eckhart, I felt, needed to even express the idea of love coming as something that is from yourself is because we are in a very individualistic society. And I would say his theories are very individualistic, even though he doesn't obviously come out of that, because a lot of what he says is, oh, just take care, meditate. It's not about helping other people. You hear that very little from modern gurus, like your job is to serve the world, make the world a better place. No, it's like taking care of number one. They don't say it like that, but that's what you hear a lot. And so I'm saying you do not need that excuse. You shouldn't even try to make that excuse to love other people, because as soon as you love other people, you will be much happier for it. It's part of human nature to want to do that. So every chance, when I'm at school, or because I'm a teacher, or if I'm wherever I am, I'm in the streets, I'm looking for opportunity to love people, to show people. Like, I literally go out there, seeing if that person looks a little bit smiley or is going to make eye contact, I'm going to smile at them. Not because I need to smile at them, but I know I want to make them happy. And when I do that, I become the happiest person on the street. Okay, people who know who work with me or know me, they would agree that I'm the happiest person in that room. Okay, it's just because of that mindset of just it sounds like selfless love sounds terrible and terribly hard, but it's really easy. You just keep doing that and you just keep getting more and more back. Let me throw in another quote. Be merciful to others and you will receive mercy. Forgive others and God will forgive you. So there's this sense of, like, there's so many faults in yourself, right? And you would hope that if you're going to meet God, then God will be kind to you, and what goes around comes around. So if you're nice to other people, then people are going to be nice back to you most of the time. It's not a definite. There are people who are negative, and that's what you hear in society a lot. Like, if I'm nice to somebody else, I'm exposing myself to be vulnerable or something like that. It's not. You actually become really strong when you show love, right? Because when you show love, you do it 100% selflessly, you actually become independent of other people. You become a very strong character. Think about it. Nobody else is, especially in London, where it really is kind of a bit like robotic. Okay, if you're the first person to show love and be kind to people, you're like very much becoming a leader, and you feel that like you're doing things completely against the grain. And when you do, the more you go against the grain, the more powerful you become. You're not dependent on what everybody else thinks. So you show love, you become more powerful, become happier, etc., etc., because you're more in line with your true nature, just showing love. And there's this beautiful thing I'm going to throw in very quickly. If you show love, you become wiser, because when you show love, or you are loving towards people and listen to people, you learn from them. There's a whole different avenue just there that I'll talk about in the next half hour. Cool. Oh, I have to throw in the new question. Let's scroll down. Sorry, Len.
That's fine.
Copy, paste, bang, click. There you go. Guys, don't look at the yellow thing. Look at the thing on the below. You can only find out what you actually believe by watching how you act. Jordan Peterson. Go for it, Len.
Right. I'm going to elaborate a lot more on just watching how you act, because I believe in a very, very crucial and important aspect of self-development called self-awareness. Now, there's self-awareness with a lowercase s in self, and then there is self-awareness with a capital S, which is soul awareness. It's a lot bigger, a lot larger, a lot better. In terms of magnitude, you're looking at something much bigger than just being self-aware and the concept of I think, therefore I am, because I think, therefore I am is only a small aspect of who we are. I think, therefore I am points towards our rational and logic and reason side of who we are, and that is just one aspect of who we are. I do believe that when you become soul aware of your own divinity, aware of who you are as a divine soul having a temporary human experience, you begin to self-actualize on a much grander scale. You become a lot more aware of not only your physical environment, not only of your intellectual capacity, your physical capacity, but you begin to go into the realm of spirit. You become spiritually aware, and when you become spiritually aware, it leads to interesting side effects, gifts, like a psychic awareness. You suddenly find yourself becoming aware of things that we would sometimes call clear sentience, clear cognizance, things that you did not know, that something suddenly pops into your mind and it transcends your physical abilities, your physical awareness. So in order to develop those abilities of how we self-actualize is to learn to observe yourself. Observe yourself, and that's a difficult thing to do, but it's a very crucial part of self-actualizing, of learning to observe and master your thoughts to begin with. A lot of people say, I keep thinking these terrible thoughts, they plague me at night. I can't stop my mind. My mind's always busy at night when I try and go and sleep, and I can't sleep because my mind's too busy. Learning to master your thoughts is a job that may take you a lifetime to do, but that is a very crucial part. Learning to control your thoughts by focusing your attention on your breathing, observing a thought as a bird flying in and flying out of your picture. If you view your life, your thoughts as a screen, a TV screen or a movie screen, and every thought that comes in, you let it pass and you pay no attention to it. No attention to it, because thoughts come to you, and the reason that they trap you, or the reason they catch you, is because you're paying attention to it. So observe what you are paying attention to, and if they are not good for you, let them go, let them go. Then observe your interactions. Learn to observe how you engage with other people. Learn to watch your own reactions and responses to what people say and what people do. What triggers you? Be aware of those things, because when you do this, you also learn to connect to your higher self. And that, I think, is a really, really incredible part of self-actualization. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Dan. Okay, so just to remind people, the real question is down here. You can only find out what you actually believe by watching how you act. This is a quote by Jordan Peterson, clinical psychologist, and ignore this thing here. It's just look at the timer up there. That's all. This is from last week. Anyway, so what I've got to say, let's start with a quote, again from Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. If your neighbors praise you, you are good. If your neighbors say you are bad, you are bad. Okay, this is going to be like, oh my gosh, how dare my neighbors judge me? I should be judging me. I know myself best and all this kind of stuff, right? Okay, so first of all, this kind of our individualistic society, we focus on ourselves too much. Like, oh, who are we? What pigeonhole would we like to put ourselves in, rather than focusing on improving yourself? Because you should be constantly evolving. You should not be one particular thing. And this show is about happiness, right? Putting yourself in a box or defining what box you belong to is not going to make you happy. What's going to make you happy is being a better person. Okay. Now, what's this thing about neighbors deciding how good you are? They're not really deciding completely if you're an amazing, what kind of human being you are, in the sum total of who you are. They're just saying if you're good or bad. And that's a beginning, right? And in Islam and many different religions, neighbors are really important. So it's a double value. Let me explain a bit in that, and then I'll kind of throw in a few other things. So when as a neighbor, I might have mentioned this before, I'm always talking to my neighbors, seeing how they're doing, smiling at them, trying to make them happy, right? I'm not a normal conversationalist. I'm probably an introvert, right? But I do it, and I would guess the neighbors would say, this guy is a good guy. I hope so, right? Now I'm thinking about when I was in a school where one of my students was telling me about how he has a really bad time with his neighbors, and they're always arguing, and the neighbors saying, why does your dog bark at this time, and things like that. And then he shouts back and says, I was really disappointed at that particular student. I'm not sure if I talked to him about it, right? Because I try to be a sort of a second parent in the schools I work in and try to make them better people if possible. But yeah, I would not say I was impressed by that kid, that student of mine, right? And if that's his neighbor was saying he was a bad person, I wouldn't disagree in that sense, right? So I think there is value in that saying. So the two takeaways very quickly are don't box yourself into, don't self-obsess. Like, focus on becoming a better person. It's better for you, better for the world, better for your happiness. Another thing I want to throw in Islam, it says, you will be happy if you fear God. Like, if you fear to stand, so I'll quote, but for him who fears to stand before his Lord, that means in the day of judgment, there'll be two gardens. Gardens in the spiritual terms means paradise, basically. One in this life, one in the next. So what I'm getting at in that quote is that if you think you're a really nice guy, then you should be happy. Guy, gal, whatever, right? If you are not happy every day, this is not just criticism. It's like a warning sign that you're doing something wrong with your life. You need to fix it, improve it. Now, I'm not perfectly happy. That means there's every day, but I'm pretty excited to be alive every day, right? So that's a good sign. But there are always things that I'm not 100% happy. That means I'm telling myself there's something to work on. I'm not really categorizing. I'm looking at all my weaknesses. And that might sound miserable looking at your weaknesses, but when I fix every time I fix a weakness, I just become even happier. If you're miserable every day, and a good sign, well, if you are feeling you're lacking something, in short, you're a materialist, because materialism makes you unhappy constantly. That's my short answer. Cool. Oh, I have to click back on the first question. I think that's the first question. Cool. We're in stage 2. It's green. How do I feel good about going to work? So repeating, no comment so far. So whatever you want to say, Len.
Well, it took me a while to arrive at a place in my own life. I remember starting out as a travel agent back in 1982. And I worked as a travel agent for a good 5-6 years. And then I was promoted at the time. And I ended up going to work for an airline. And I worked for the airline industry for another 12 years. And I enjoyed the job. It was travel, and I love travel. I am a Sagittarian, and as a Sagittarian, we like to do a lot of long-haul international travel. And I did enjoy the work, and I did enjoy the nature of the work. Yes, the downside to it is that you end up with a community of travelers, and they're not always the easiest to work with, especially if you work at an airport in the travel industry. I did find that after a while, it became a toxic environment for me, and I wanted to do something that I felt more passionate about. And then I discovered I have a knack for computer programming. And I learned Visual Basic, and I learned HTML, and I learned SQL, and a number of programming capabilities that helped me in the area of analytics in the last number of years. And it was a passionate thing for me, and my salary I tripled it literally from what I used to do, just because the IT field is lucrative and a challenging area, but I did feel that it gave me opportunities to grow. When you are not in your comfort zone, you grow, and that's one of the things that help people to feel good about themselves. For me, it was the sense of achievement. I've done really difficult stuff today. I did a brilliant piece of code, and I felt really passionate about it. I'm really chuffed with myself for doing this. So those are the things one can look at as signs, telltale signs, to help one to know that you are doing the right thing. Until recently, where everything within the IT world over the last 5 years had become toxic again because of the paranoia, the fear. Oh, someone's going to hack. Now you're not allowed to do your coding on your computer or your laptop anymore. You have to do it on a server environment, on a virtual machine, and you're not allowed to store your code anywhere on your machine. And they had all these fears and things that came about because of hacking and whatever problems they could imagine. But it was that was the reason I felt that environment became toxic for me, because I am not a fear-based person. I do not operate by fear. I do not live in fear and paranoia day in and day out. And I decided I needed to find something that I am passionate about. And for me, helping people understand themselves better through hypnotherapy, where we can bypass the conscious mind, the ego, and go directly to the subconscious. And you can actually find that the subconscious is an intelligence within you, layering underneath the surface, that you can have a decent conversation with and have a talk to and ask them about, why is this going wrong in your life? Why is that going wrong? That fired my passion again. And I find myself helping people now with hypnotherapy to help them through the difficulties that they are facing in life. So this is something I feel really good about. And the beauty of it is I don't even have to leave my home to do so. Only when I walk the dog, go shopping, go on holiday, take a walk around the lake or whatever the case may be. But the work I do, I can do in the comfort of my own home. Wonderful stuff, and I feel good about it.
Cool, good feeling. Me too. I shouldn't say I'm enjoying the pandemic too much, all this online working, but anyway. Yeah. Okay, so just to repeat for the viewers, the real question is down here. I've messed up kind of as usual. I'm just using the timer up there. Okay, so real question is, how do I feel good about going to work? I'm going to repeat one or two things and I'll throw in a few new things I didn't say in the first half hour. Okay, so again, quote, Allah, or that is God, loves that if one of you does something, he does it well. If you do things like that, you're just going to get better and better. You're going to enjoy the process of the work and you're just going to be engaged. And when you're engaged, you're excited, you're happy, you're growing. If you do your job badly every day, you don't grow and it's really boring. We as human beings love to grow. What I mean by grow, not get taller or something. Like we are constantly developing. When we're not developing, when we're not using our brains, all sorts of things go wrong. People who don't use their brains, for example, get Alzheimer's, this thing, right? When you get older, it's like something about nature is constantly telling you if you don't keep developing, you won't be happier. And if you do your job really well, you're going to feel like you're serving people. Again, I said this before, that is part of your nature. People, if you don't serve people, sure, you could not serve people, even if it's part of your nature and you don't serve people, you're going to be miserable. So you can go against your nature. I'm not saying it's your nature, you do it by default. I'm saying it's your internal nature, the thing that really makes you happy. You want to be good. You don't want to be evil. Being of service is a good thing. Okay. But also when you do your job really well, you become better at it. You go up through the ranks or you find other jobs and things like that. So, yeah. Oh, Len, you put that in the private chat. You have to put it in the other chat.
I haven't got another chat. Where's the? I don't have access to another chat. Sorry.
Oh, really? Oh, man. I'm going to copy your one there. That was cool. I'm just going to post that. Yusuf, this is a comment, not from me, but from Len. Says, good question, Yusuf, and all that. Oh, gosh. Okay, maybe I'll help you find the chat next time or something. It's somewhere in the interface on the... Anyway, whatever. Okay, so as I was saying, yeah, when you do your job well, you're going to get better at it, and then you get more opportunities. When you do your job badly, you get stunted in your position, and opportunities don't come to you. So this brings me to kind of my next quote. And people who are good, they are basically developing skills of service. Like, what makes you rich? If you can, I heard, I'm a big fan of like entrepreneurs. What do they say? If you want to become a millionaire, you want to solve a problem for 1 million people, right? That's a simple solution, or maybe 1 billion, I don't know, right? But a lot of people. So if you can serve people, that's great. Yeah. So if you can serve people, then you become more powerful, more useful, more valuable to the job market, and you'll have more opportunities. So there's benefit in doing your job really well, and you really enjoy that process. It reminds me of the movie The Last Samurai, where every morning these samurais 100 years ago would practice their skill again and again, and they become amazing at what they did, right? Watch that movie. Awesome movie. Okay. And so I was going to quote, and I think I forgot another quote, which was, for people who do follow these spiritual behaviors, a quote from the Quran is, surely every hour, for these kind of people, surely every hour, every moment, as it were, that follows is better for you than the one that precedes. So basically, your life will just get better and better, right? Even if from externally things might go up and down, that's not actually how you feel about life. So if you're living your life properly, the external things are not the things that dictate your happiness, but generally the external things will get better for you because you're making positive actions. Cool. Oh, okay. I have to click on the next one. Uh-oh, where are the quotes? I think it's this one. Yes, to love is to recognize yourself in another. Eckhart Tolle. Yes, Len, please.
Yes, it is a very difficult thing because we live in a society that is, I want to use the word, a secular society, a multi-faith society, but I do find that even though the majority or a large chunk of the population of this country claim to be Christian or belonging to some religion or a faith group or the other, it may not necessarily be that they are practicing that faith group. A lot of people say they are Anglicans and Catholics, but they are not necessarily practicing Anglicans or practicing Catholics. As a result, they don't really ascribe to a form of a spiritual path. This is where I draw a distinction between a religion and a spiritual path, because a spiritual path requires a deeper commitment, a deeper engagement. And if you follow a religion, and that a religion can also be a spiritual path because it requires devotion, it requires an engagement. I do find that when people lack that commitment of a spiritual path in their lives, they are free to do as they want. And unfortunately, as a result of that, we live in a society where people tend to just do as they please. And this is the part of that is the individualistic part of the world that we live in. It rears its ugly head. And because people are self-absorbed and self-obsessed by nature, I think, in the lack of spiritual path, the lack of spirituality, the lack of self-awareness. I like to use a phrase when I'm at home with my other half, and that's a phrase that I use at home and at home only to describe such people. As I say, they have the self-awareness of a slice of toast. And you see that when you go shopping in Tesco and they push their trolleys in front of you and then they block the aisle with the trolleys while they are shopping without any care or consideration for anyone else in the shopping center. And I normally find myself at home saying to my other half that, yeah, I saw another person today that had the self-awareness of a slice of toast. Simply because they don't care. They don't give a hoot about who else is there. As far as they're concerned, they're the only ones that matter. And we live in a world where this is becoming increasingly so. Some message that we received from the Higher Self Collective in the earlier this year was that we are arriving at a crucial point in the evolution of the consciousness of humanity, where we will see a bigger divide between darkness and light. It's the dark is becoming darker, the light is becoming brighter, and we will see a greater divide. It will become a lot more apparent, whatever that's supposed to mean. I don't know. I observe this reality because I do find that very often I'm not going to engage because I don't want to fall in the trap of wanting to be drawn into somebody's negativity and self-loathing. I want to transcend that, rise above that, because I'm taking the higher ground. I am above that. I rise above that. And I think that is a very important part of self-love, is to rise above whatever is a negative trend, whatever is observed as that's not kosher, that's not good. You are doing this from a place of fear or anger. It's not a place of love and a place of collaboration and cooperation. And I can't be a part of that. So it's important to know that we are here and we are making this decision. I'm almost done. And it helps us to draw those boundaries and recognize the love that we have in ourselves and not be sucked into other people's negativity. Thank you for listening to me.
Cool. Thank you, Len. Brilliant. Okay. So, so reminding everybody what's happening. That's the real question, not that thing. That's just the timer up there. The question is, to love is to recognize yourself in another. It's not really a question. It's more like a quote from Eckhart Tolle, famous spiritual leader at the moment. What do I think? And so just to also remind everybody, so this Islam over here, Len on that side, existentialism, different interesting points of view. What have I got to say? So Yusuf in the comments has been saying, what happens if you show love, and for example with neighbors, and they take advantage of it? And this is such an important question. People, I hear this all the time, like, don't you make yourself vulnerable by being nice to people? And I would like to say, first of all, that comment, the quote that I gave, that your neighbors will say you're good if you're good and all this kind of stuff, right? It's not saying necessarily that they might be a little bit cheeky towards you, right? And this is not just with neighbors, this is just everywhere. So when I'm showing love, I have zero expectation that I get love back. I even might expect them to be a little bit rude to me, right? Possibly. But it doesn't worry me at the slightest. So in reality, what happens is, firstly, you become really strong. You become also really aware, and to the extent that anybody who's rude to you, you actually feel really sorry for them, because you become above that. You don't feel hurt by it. People who don't show love regularly become fragile, and that's why they think that's really scary to show love to other people. Okay, so the example about Yusuf said, like, people throw rubbish in front of my house or something. When you're nice to them, they take advantage of it. I know examples of that. It may be like, let's just say, not enough people are watching to know who's who. So let's say my dad's house, there's a certain neighbor who you might have taken advantage of, right, because of some fence issue, right? And so my dad just said, yeah, I'll just pay for everything, don't worry, even if it's your fence and all this kind of stuff, right? So what's the neighbor going to think? First of all, the neighbor is probably not going to think my dad and their parents are bad, right? They're going to say they're good, right? And did my dad lose out? I would say that I don't think of things in sort of isolation. So God just gives my dad more money and he can pay for it easily, right? People who are good tend to make more money as well, because they're just positive. They're just getting more positive. And so any sort of people taking advantage of it is negligible in reality. That's what I would say. Please just try it, because we need to make the world a better place. You need to be a happier person, right? And you will become a happier person, a stronger person, by just being good, and don't worry about it. Of course, you have to do it in balance. So many spiritual teachings, especially in Islam, we talk about balance. So be good. Don't push yourself so much that you can't handle. I'm going to help you, Len, at some point. It's just going in the wrong place. Len's just being so nice. Yeah, all his comments are going in the private chat. I'm going to paste that for you. But you can see, can you see that chat popping up? I don't know. Yeah, I thought you could see the chat before.
I can see the chat, but I can't contribute to the chat. I can't add anything to the chat. It's just to read only.
Oh, anyway, I'm sorry about that, Len. Okay, so you can keep copying and I can paste it, no problem. I don't mind.
It is a temporary arrangement. Thank you.
Yeah. So, so I really recommend, don't worry about it too much. It won't hurt. You say they put a bit of rubbish in front of you, in your front of your door. It's not going to be the end of the world. Then people do follow examples over a period of time. Thanks, Yusuf, for the question. I appreciate it. Okay. What's happening now? Oh, yes, it's that one. Okay, so that one means probably you can only find out. Yes, you can only find out what you actually believe by watching how you act, Jordan Peterson says. Yes, Len.
Well, I've said everything there is to be said about this. I'll try and find something else that I can
Anything that comes to you, yeah. I'm always happy to fill in time afterwards.
This is the part of self-actualization and self-observation, because self-observation brings you to a place where you transcend the mundane and you begin to live your life and see life from an elevated perspective. It's a massive, great way to transcend the mundane. I want to use the word the mundane because it's becoming more and more required for us to learn to transcend the mundane, transcend getting into the fist fighting of day-to-day life. And day-to-day life is often very much a struggle in some cases and conflict. I'll give you an example. My other half works at Tesco in retail, and very often he works in an environment where people are throwing abuse and insulting him. And this is one of the advice that we've been given by the Higher Self Collective as to why do I need to, he asked the question, why do I need to be in this toxic environment? And they have said, and this was the response of the Higher Self. He said, we need you to be in this because there are lessons that you have chosen to learn, and this is the only place you can learn these lessons. But remember, you can go into this place, visualize a ring of light, a bubble of light around you every day when you go to work. And as this bubble of light goes around you, it protects you. It shields you. So it's the act of shielding. And that I find is an incredibly powerful way to shield yourself from toxic energies, toxic environments. Is imagine and visualize yourself in a bubble of light. And do this every morning before you go in. Take a deep breath, imagine this bubble of light around you, and go through your day. And the other thing that the Higher Self explained to them is, we don't want you to engage, because the minute you start engaging in people's toxic behavior, you are sucked into that pit of negativity, and it will not help you to transcend it. By not engaging, you will be able to rise above it. And that I find was the most helpful conversation for him. In another few instances, it actually proved to be life-saving for him in that regard, which was, how do you feel when you come home at the end of the day and you've had a nasty fight with some stranger that you've never met before, or you've had a fallout with somebody that you work with, and you know in your heart, this could have been different. This could have had a different outcome. And people tend to repeat these scenarios in their head over time, and it generates more regret and more guilt at the end of the day. But by abstaining from engaging in that toxic behavior, you transcend that. And you'll find a way, you will always find a way to rise above that. And this is where self-observation and self-actualization is part and parcel of learning to transcend negative behaviors and negative engagements with people, with other people. And I hope this really helps you as well, Joseph. Really, it's rising above it is a challenge, but there's a lesson to it. And ask yourself the question, not the one that says, why are they doing this to me? But rather ask, what is the lesson I'm supposed to learn from this? Then you will find the situation will change for you.
Cool. So yeah, I just want to start by saying I agree with Len with this idea of there is a lesson to be learned. There is nothing that happens, according to my understanding of how God controls everything, there's nothing that happens by accident. It might look like accident to you because where our brains are puny, we don't get the full vision of what's happening. But anyway, and another good thing is I thought the neighbors topic was the previous one because it's all about love. But then I looked at my own quotes because I totally forgot what I said earlier on. And I'm coming back to more about neighbors, which I'm really happy about. I wanted to say a bit more. So again, let's do the reminder. This is the real topic down here, not missed that because that's just the timer. That's from last week, that question over there. Anyway, so you can only find out about what you actually believe by watching what you act. There's definitely some truth in that, but we can definitely confuse ourselves by focusing on that. I want to say the quote again before I forget. If your neighbors praise you, you are good. If your neighbors say you're bad, you are bad. So again, we can learn from other people about ourselves, and as a sort of reflection, they might not know everything about us, but generally neighbors want you to be good. So neighbors can be a good measure of that. What else was I going to say about neighbors? I totally forgot. Anyway, so the other thing is that what can we say about ourselves? A good way of measuring who we really are. So we like to tell ourselves lots of wonderful stories about ourselves, but I said very quickly in the previous half hour that there's a quote from the Quran. And as to those who disbelieve, their deeds are like a mirage in the desert. The thirsty one thinks it to be water, but when he comes up to it, he finds it to be nothing. And he finds Allah, that is God, near him, who fully pays him for his account. Okay, the point is very poetic, maybe hard to understand straight away. But what it's saying is people who are not believers meaning people who don't agree with these spiritual truths that there's a God and life is about submitting your will and serving other people and things like that. Those people actually chase materialistic things, and those people are constantly thirsty. They're never, when I say thirsty, that means wanting something more. They feel like there's something missing. They're discontent. Not content is the word, maybe. Anyway, the point is, if you're not feeling content, you should say, and this is something I say to myself, right? Because we're not just in one category. We always often mix between two categories. Even if you think you're spiritual, there's going to be this materialistic pull, right? So every time I see myself like feeling not content, I'm going, there's that materialistic pull. I'm being materialistic. Then I start analyzing, what is it that how am I making my life miserable? What is it that I am chasing that I really don't need? And you really don't need to chase those things. It doesn't mean you become a useless person. You can be of service and make the world a better place and be productive in your life, even if you're not chasing material things. So when it comes back to what Jordan Peterson said, a way of analyzing who you are is by your feelings. Like, are you not content? Therefore, you're a materialist. If you're not happy, that means you don't really believe in God, because people who believe in God are doing things that are in line with their true self, which is serving other people. They're not selfish, which makes you miserable. We can talk about how that works, but there's so many studies, like I keep quoting TED Talk about, if you want to buy happiness, spend on other people. How money makes you happy, I think was the video. Scientific evidence there. Anyway, time's run out. Woohoo! We done another question. I mean, another of these question answers. I've actually, in theory, give a whole more than 20 seconds. I think I've got more than that. How many? Yeah, I've got 2 minutes to say thank you. So first of all, I've got to say thank you to Len. Thank you so much. How did you find that? That was a bit crazy, wasn't it? I don't know. We've got a whole 2 minutes to chat. Oh my gosh, so much time. Oh my god. So I just want to thank Len. I do so many crazy things and it goes wrong so many times. He's just so chill about it. It's lovely. Thank you very much. Thank you all the guys, Yusuf and whoever's watching silently in the background. Thank you so much. I think, I'm not sure if I said it in the beginning of the video, but one of my cousins stroke aunties, that sounds a bit weird, cousins stroke aunties, I'm not even going to go into explaining that, but she said, I watch your show and I'm sure other people watch your show, but it's really hard to say talk about these deep things, and they're really personal things. So I'm quite happy for you just to watch. Thank you for watching is what I'm going to say, even if you don't comment and all that kind of stuff. Maybe like the video. That would, get more people to watch it. Share it if it's not too hard. Again, I know it's really personal, this kind of stuff, and some people might be shy to do it. Subscribe. It helps with the algorithm if you really believe in what this show is about. And what else? Go to bigquestionsanswered.com. I'm used to using my last few seconds if you want to check out previous shows. And great. Thank you very much. Catch you next Thursday. Thank you, Len, again.
Take care. Have a nice weekend, everyone.
Bye.